so I'm looking forward to working with you on this, and hopefully we can be successful in our efforts. But as far as if there's any questions, if anyone had about how these individuals, how they've done work, what they have done in the past, and what we can expect from them, I have no questions at all. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm very supportive of moving forward with this contract. Thank you, President Otto.
Great. Any further questions? In that case, it has been moved and seconded that we award a contract to the Lou Edwards Group on the amount of $263,000 commencing on October 28th. Will you call the roll, please, Madam Clerk? Secretary.
Irma Archuleta?
Aye.
Virginia Baxter?
Aye.
Jeff Kellogg?
Aye.
Doug Otto?
Aye.
Sunny Zia?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We look forward to working with you.
Ask about timeline, or is this the wrong time to ask?
We'll talk about it. Okay, we are now back to the agenda unreordered. So we're on agenda item 3.2, student success, and it's a presentation concerning the math workshop model. So if we could have the
We'll turn this over to Dr. Long.
Thank you, President Oakley. It is my pleasure to introduce our Dean of Health, Kinesiology, Science, and Math, Dr. Paul Creason, who will introduce the faculty doing the presentation.
they call voters who vote in every election pathological.
Good evening, Board President Otto, Superintendent President Oakley, and members of the board. It is my pleasure this evening to introduce the presentation about our math workshop model. Some of you may have heard about this innovative method that we've been using in the math area since the winter of 2013. This started as an idea kind of along the lines of a math boot camp, and it has taken a life of its own, and we are now offering it more and more in our intersessions, and various iterations of it have started to happen within our regular session. What we're most excited about is the student success rates that we're getting out of this program. And since this has been a faculty-driven and faculty-directed initiative, I'm going to introduce you to our faculty that have participated, and you'll be hearing from each of them this evening. We have first here we have Kevin Ryan, we have Pablo Burt, we have Bagi Anand, we have our department head, Mr. Rich Weber, and we have Moises Gutierrez. And that being said, it's a great group, and I'm going to turn it over to our department head, Mr. Rich Weber, to move forward.
Thank you, Paul. Good evening, everybody. We're happy to report and have this opportunity to show off, I guess it is. We're very proud of what we've done so far in the workshop scenario. We're going to flash through some screens with you. Paul says to push that button and it worked. Okay, good. I think the first thing is to maybe go over the history of this. And in the beginning, there was the number. And no, that's too far back. What we'll talk about is the workshop. And it's always been on the minds of math departments and perhaps all kinds of departments to, when you're dealing with remedial education, you need to get them up to speed. And dreams of having workshops and having math jams and boot camps has always been bandied about. And when I first became department head, Paul Creason did run it by us and say, what about a boot camp? Can we do this? And I like to give credit where credit is due. And a lot of colleagues were pushing for this idea. Paul is pushing for it. When we finally had it, when I was invited to a meeting with VP Lowenstein a while back, Gaither, and Dean Dina Humble, they broached this idea as a serious effort, and there were funds that we could pursue. And of course, I embraced it with open arms, not knowing what we were getting into, but happy we did. So what we did was we tapped a few colleagues to work on this, and it was Kevin Ryan and Pablo Burt, myself, and a guy who retired named Bruce Chafee. And we were allowed to dream up how we were to do this. And we had at our disposal a software program called ALEX, which is essentially a math instructional software program that's online through the publisher. McGraw-Hill now owns it, but it was an independent software program at the time. And so working together, the four of us designed this thing. Working in the background, our dean was looking for logistics to make this thing happen. So we're happy to say that we did find a ginormous room in the library. Perhaps I'm just filling you in case you've not heard any of these details. And it seats about 160 people at computer terminals. It has other offshoot rooms that we can lecture in. They have computers in there as well. Essentially, and so the idea was instead of lecturing them as normal, we'd throw them in a room and have them work. Yes, right, we're going to have them work during, I think it was winter of 2013 that we ran this pilot program. And so the idea was to have them to work through ALEX, and we became familiar with the program and what it is essentially, and we'll have more detail coming soon, is it's goal-oriented. It's a pie chart that they have to fill in terms of skills. So the student has right in front of them where they are at. They're working in class, in the room together. We supported them with, I think at the time, 8 tutors that walked around this big room. We had full-time faculty walking around as tutors as well. We designed it to have breakout sessions if there were areas of difficulty, and every day there were. In fact, nowadays, we just anticipate difficulties. We would plan these breakout sessions wherein full-time faculty would teach them on some of the difficult aspects. But the main gist of it is to have them working in class as if it were a flipped classroom. So we had 4 instructors, and there were 4 classes, 2 beginning algebra and 2 intermediate algebra that we ran. And we also had a math coordinator that would run ALEX and watch their progress as they went along. And so at the end, as we're working through this, we were very excited about how excited they were. Okay, it was a good feeling. It was wonderful energy. And as we built the plane while it was flying, I think the term is, we decided, wouldn't it be great to give them an incentive when they're done? Let's put them in the next class. We want them to succeed. That idea went out the window because we ran into the academic senate. We can't do that, but it was fun to do it at the time. Just, that's the way it was. That's how we feel. We just built this thing, and I think it really took off. We're happy about it. That's kind of the origin of it. Go to the next slide. Basically, this is also what I was talking about. You've got ALEX software, and I'm going to let colleagues step up and describe the day-to-day as far as that is concerned. All right, so that's what we'll do now. Is it's constantly being revised. What do we want to do different? Back in the day, we had problem of the hour. We would interrupt them and have them work on a problem. And we might bring that back, but I'm going to bring up, I guess, whoever wants to talk, but I have Kevin in mind to describe what the current workshop model is today. Kevin?
Hello. Good to be back. No. ALEX really is at the heart of what we did, and Pablo and I, what we ended up doing was the very first thing that we did, there was, like you mentioned, there were some problems with it. So we decided to turn it into actual classes. And so we have a room bigger than this one, full of computers. And we have the students come in and they can register of one of the 2 intermediate or beginning algebra courses. And what happens is the day-to-day would just be the students come in. The very first day is the most chaotic, obviously. The first thing that the students do is they learn how to interface with ALEX, meaning they get their answer, how do I do an exponent, how do I do a radical symbol, all that kind of stuff, and walks them through that. Then after that is the part that makes ALEX so unique. It gives them what's called a knowledge check. They used to call them assessments, and it's basically a math test, but what it's doing is it's learning from each individual student what they know as individuals. So instead of me as a teacher having to go keep in mind the most advanced student and the students that's struggling the most, Alex actually goes in and customizes a homework assignment just for each individual student, which is a dream situation for us. And what it has evolved into is, again, the huge rooms, the students are working in the classroom, tutors are walking around, and during this time, we have a schedule set up of about where the class should be at any given time. And we now have it down pretty well. We've evolved it for quite a bit. And we have it so that we have breakout sessions. So I'll come in and I'll notice that there's one topic of Math 110 that needs to be taught. So I'll make an announcement. I'll go in the other room, completely voluntary. If the students are on a roll and they want to just keep going with their homework assignment, great. If they want to change a pace or they really benefit from traditional lecture, then they do that. And so we're trying to hit all the different learning aspects from a student and get them through these courses. And well, he's going to talk about the success rates, I think. Did I miss anything? Okay, oh, arrows, that's right. Yeah, so here's the day-to-day. The students meet for about 4 hours a day. Now, that's a long time, and we tell them, take a break when you need to take a break. Go get some food, take a walk, whatever you need to do. Believe it or not, most students don't come and then leave for an hour and then come back. When they take a break, it's planned. They go, they eat their apple, and they come back, and they just keep going. The nice thing about Alex is it's always clear, and I call him Lord Alex sometimes because he kind of runs everybody's life. But Alex knows right where the student is supposed to be and will never ask a math question to a student that is not ready for that question. So Alex knows all what prerequisite a student needs and won't give them a problem that they don't even know how to do, which is, again, is fantastic because to do that for each individual student is an impossible task for a teacher. Again, the mini workshops we do, and we tried at first to make them, it's an hour long, and then after a while, you just kind of, if the students have questions, then it goes longer, and if they don't, then it might be less. And there's 4 faculty members in there, and 2 or 3 are giving lectures as we're doing this. All of the exams, we decided we gave a lot of small exams. So, for example, there may be a total of 9 exams, but on most of them, there's only maybe 10 questions. And then there's a cumulative midterm and a cumulative final. And all of those exams are paper to pencil. So it's not it's traditional. We all actually grade them in the whole deal, just like we would a regular classroom. And the other thing is we do a mandatory review. So normally we let the students do what they need to do in the classroom. If they want to come do the lecture, listen to the lecture, that's fine. But when it's the day before the test and they're going to take a test the next day, we require everybody to go to a breakout room and we all go through a review with them. And so they have access to their practice test at any time. So they can go in and retake a practice test over and over again, and it's different questions every time, and then our actual exam is similar to that.
Awesome. I also wanted to say, at the end of the first effort and continued effort, I was really impressed with the support top to bottom when we did this effort. Everyone was pitching in. When we needed resources, we found them. They were given to us. When we needed we needed a room, there it was. When we needed to fit these students who were successful into later classes, people came in like Janie and others in admissions and records to help them go along. What I want to do now is talk about the effects of math faculty collaboration, and I'd like to invite anyone here in this team to just step up and say a few words about what it's like to work with other faculty members. Good words.
Good afternoon. So working with faculty for me has been probably the most exciting thing about teaching. Most of the time we're just in our own little worlds, we run our own little show, and we don't get to collaborate with people as far as teaching strategies and how we should assess and things like that. So it's really, really nice to have a team of people that are all excited about this new thing getting together, and we end up coming up with new teaching strategies, and you do it that way, and things that you wouldn't get just at a department meeting or meeting in a committee or something like that. So it's pretty exciting. It's a pretty exciting process to work with other people on this type of thing, especially when it's uncharted territory, and so we get to learn from each other's ideas and that sort of thing. Another thing too is it's exciting because it actually works, right? So when we did this, we had no idea how it was going to work or not. And like a lot of things, you try them, they don't work as well as you expect, and you keep tweaking and tweaking. But surprisingly, it worked really, really well the first time, and it's only been getting refined little by little as we go on. So we haven't been changing it that much from the very first time we ran it. A few little things here and there. We didn't have a set schedule the first time around, and we sort of just went with where the students were at that point, and that was what our point person was for. But then we realized that we should have a more structured scenario. So that's what we started doing after that. Anything else you want to?
Hi, good evening, everybody. How you guys doing? I would like to add a couple of things to what Kevin was saying. I don't want you to walk away with the impression that we handed students computers and said, here, go deal with it on your own. This was all meticulously crafted by our architect, which was Kevin Ryan. I know Pablo had a lot to do with it. This is faculty designing the entire curriculum that spans what we do in class traditionally and giving students a novel way to experience the material. On top of that, I would also like to point out time on task. The biggest thing that me being the most skeptic of the bunch going into it, I was concerned that students would be doing anything but their math, having a computer and the internet at their disposal. But students spent every minute they had on there. Not only that, they were constantly being rewarded with the PI, with the assessment check, with the skill check. Students felt they had an individual experience tailored to their learning, and they were constantly having that feedback that we as instructors hope to provide on a larger scale. But it was down to the individual person. On top of that, the lessons, we planned out a series of lessons, right? As one instructor would, we have the entire curriculum planned out. We're going to give students advice and guidance on all of these tasks and skills. Now, we normally would like to have a second person there that can take those alternate pathways for the group of students who feel a little bit lost or a little bit ahead of the game. And that's where the ALEKS feedback comes into play. The role of having that point person taking in all that information, running the reports, and then assessing what alternate pathway students are taking has been immensely valuable. We not only have the traditional pacing that students should follow, right, in theory, we also have instructors coming in here at the beginning of the day and saying, today, 30% of our students are ready to learn, which is an incredible concept. That means this student has already proven they have the prerequisite skills. And so when they visit that alternate pathway for lessons, they're going to be ready for the information. They're going to feel like their time is being valued. They're going to feel like what they're learning is actually what they're ready for. As opposed to in a traditional class, when you walk in and some students are ready for it, some students that are ahead of it, and some students feel miserably lost. Now every student has a chance to walk into a learning experience. And as instructors, that means you have 20 students in your room who are there purposefully. They're choosing to be there and gain the information. Whereas in a traditional classroom, they're there because I have to be here a certain number of hours and look at this person talk to me for a while. I speak from being skeptic about the ALEKS program. I was worried students would fall behind because everybody has their own timeline. But here with the team teaching, we can have a designated instructor lecturing on pace with what we normally would do. And we have the additional instructor hand in hand working with them, making sure that every student gets caught up, every student that is ahead stays challenged and stays motivated. And that's what I found to be most impactful of this whole experience. Again, me being very skeptic, I do not trust students and computers in general. But this definitely changed my mind after having a chance to see it firsthand. I did want to add that, and again, I don't want anybody to walk away thinking we're handing students basically a computer and saying, go learn it on your own. This was meticulously crafted by our faculty members, keeping in mind all of their experience and knowledge going into this course. And that's essentially what I want to make sure gets out there today, because this is amazing. And you're going to see down the line, and I believe Pablo's going to be taking the reins on this, not only how we feel, as in how we feel we're providing quality service and the feedback we get from students, but you're going to see how much more successful students are. And as we go into that, I want you to think about the learning experience students have here. Again, it's time on task, it's individual timelines, and they're feeling valued, which students sometimes feel disenfranchised, feeling like this way of learning isn't for me. And that goes along with having a lot of non-traditional learners right? Non-traditional students, and a lot of millennials that are used to feeling like they need to be treated special, and they are special. But they want that individualized experience. They want that instant response of the internet, with the cell phones or things like that. And this really plays into all of those learning modalities and kind of brings it into what we want to accomplish as a whole. But again, you'll see more of that down the line.
Thank you, Moises.
Thank you.
Oh, Boggy, all right.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Bagi Anand. I've taught this class, this workshop model a couple of times, 2 summers, and I'm going to be teaching in the summer. In the spring, regular semester, full 16-week calendar semester. And this has been a very rewarding experience for me. And as Pablo and Kevin put, this is a good learning experience for all of us. We learn from each other. And also I see students completely engaged in this model. And the success rate has been proven great in this model as well. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Bobby. Boggy, I'm glad you were able to do that. We have a couple more things to cover, but I guess Pablo will be next as far as this is concerned. The thing I think maybe you want to see are the numbers themselves, and I'm with Moises. I was a bit cynical. I go, okay, it's a software program. Are they really passing? What's the effect of this? And we had some excellent news, and I'll let Pablo take over as far as the data is concerned. All right.
So I'm one of these math teachers that's always extremely critical of myself, and if too many people get A's on an exam, I think, uh-oh, have I really taught them anything? Was I too easy? I want to believe that they can all do it, but I'm always doubting it myself, because it's very rare to see so many students succeed in a situation where we're used to just having lower success rates. And this is true nationwide. This is not unique to Long Beach City College. There's very low success rates in remedial math classes, and if every single remedial math class has under 50% success rate and they've got to get through, 4 or 5 classes, the odds are for students that's starting out at the very beginning, they're not going to make it through. Very, very few of them make it through. Well, we've gotten very, very high success rates. I guess the numbers are probably, here we go. So in a nutshell, for Math 130, this is our intermediate algebra. Our typical success rates are 47%, and using this program, we were able to get up to 76%. This is all of the ALEX sections that we've run put together. So this is just big. This is over several semesters. This isn't just one time. Okay. Math 110, beginning algebra, 38%. Usually we had 63%. The intermediate algebra, which has more material, I was always scared, are they going to be able to handle this? But they actually outperformed the beginning algebra students, so they step up to the plate, which is exciting. So that's a regular student. Now, this is a student that previously failed. In fact, I think this wasn't mentioned. The very first workshop we ran was only students that had previously failed before. Those students don't tend to do very well. If they fail once, they may pass the second time, but those numbers aren't usually that hopeful, right? You could see here that normally a student that's failed before passes 35% of the time. The next time, we were able to get 60% on that. And then for intermediate algebra, we were able to get 73% on that. So this is even for students that have difficulties in math by definition, even more so than a regular person in these classes. Okay, and this was my huge fear is, great, we're passing them along, but then the big question is, how do they do in the next class, right? If we pass more of them along, but then more of them fail the next class, then we've done nothing, right? We're not actually helping them succeed in the future. So we were able to see that they do more or less the same in the next class, even a little better in some cases, depending on some details. But for intermediate algebra, Let's see here. There's 4 slides, huh?
This is 110, this is 130.
Oh, I see. Okay. So this is just I see. So the left is just enrolling in the next math, and the right is success rate in the next math. So our students tend to enroll more in the next math, which is a big deal, and their success rate is about the same. Beginning algebra is about the same. Is the first one? Yeah, sorry, this is intermediate algebra. It's about the same, and beginning algebra is a little bit better. But if you're getting way more people through in the first step, and then about the same or a little bit more people to succeed at the next level, it's a huge difference overall. Very huge.
So thank you. I wanted a slide that showed these people and what group made it through if they go workshop versus traditional. And what we're seeing is just a larger throughput of students through the Algebra 1-2 sequence, which is always, as one person I know called it, the killing fields of our students' dreams. But we're getting these guys through in a larger throughput. More people are getting through. What we're talking about now is the nuts and bolts, and essentially the collaboration and how that went. Faculty were critical to student success. We're starting to see more buy-in as far as the department is concerned when we show them these numbers, and math people love numbers, and I love to see the folks from institutional effectiveness, and there's a few jaws that dropped when they saw the success numbers themselves. They saw success numbers, and we're talking John Hetson now, I guess Andrew ran some numbers, and both of them are going, oh, this is good, this is really good. You don't see this kind of thing as far as the numbers are concerned, so more people are getting through. We have a couple of people maybe that might want to talk as far as the importance of involvement with department, if you have any thoughts, Moises or Pablo, or I might. What is the comment on the previous slide? Go right ahead.
Hello again. These numbers here, I just want to make sure that we don't lose the significance. If we look at that right side, we can see that the students who went through this ALEX workshop model, that new learning environment, did just as well or better than students who hadn't had that experience. Now, this is the math department being skeptic at how amazing the success rates were originally. We wanted to make sure, again, as Pablo said, we're not just lowering standards. In fact, arguably, we're raising them because students are doing better off in the next semester. On top of that, if you look at the success rates, here, I'll see if I can highlight them. This pink bar that has a 74%, that is a transferable level class. That means students have already gone through their remediation and they're taking off and doing even better. So this, I want to make sure that just because the numbers look somewhat similar, you don't lose the value here, because we have so many more students getting through to the next stage, and they're succeeding at a comparable or even higher level already at a more difficult class, in theory being transfer level class. That also means students have then accomplished the requirements for their AA degrees and their transfer level degrees and their transfer needs. So we're getting students through the 110 and 130 sequence, and they're walking away from it stronger. And these numbers look similar because we're taking similar sections of students, but we have more students passing through that whole throughput that Rich mentioned earlier. And then to comment on the department buy-in, again, the department as a whole walked into this optimistic but skeptic. And now that we're seeing these success rates are producing stronger students, as in when they arrive the next semester in my class, I know I have certain level of expectations from them, right? And they're going to live up to it because they're used to that learning environment. Then the department is saying more faculty, full-time and part-timers, want to get involved. That means more input and more information coming into it. This means more eyes looking at the details, more eyes focusing on the student experience, and more ways that we can support that environment. It also provides, again, a more productive, collaborative environment, as I'm sure my colleagues will attest to that, right? Dealing with a group of students on your own and dealing with a large group of students with a peer is so much better. Being able to have that collaboration, being able to have that sounding board, especially for me being a somewhat new full-time faculty here, it was immensely valuable for me to be in the same room teaching with my peers that have been there for so long, that have that wisdom to share with me, right? I may have the optimism and I have some ideas of my own, but I can also bounce it off them and it's been incredible, especially with a large portion of our math department being new on this campus, and all of us coming in here with ideas, looking for guidance and ways of applying it. And that takes us to the department reflection. Nuts and bolts.
Moises, can you go back to that slide you just had up with the pink bar?
Yes.
I can't figure this out. I'm sorry.
Awesome. That's what I'm here for.
Your legend doesn't have, and I'm sorry to be, this is my super nerd side coming out. What is the pink bar? I know the red and the dark gray. What are the pink and the light gray ones supposed to stand for?